Chronic migraine is 15 or more headache days a month, each lasting 4 hours or more.
Botox, onabotulinum toxin A, prevents headaches in adults with chronic migraine before they start. It's not for those with 14 or fewer headache days a month. It prevents on average 8 to 9 headache days a month versus 6 to 7 for placebo.
Prescription Botox is injected by your doctor. Effects of Botox may spread hours to weeks after injection, causing serious symptoms. Alert your doctor right away, as difficulty swallowing, speaking, breathing, eye problems, or muscle weakness can be signs of a life-threatening condition. Patients with these conditions before injection are at highest risk. Side effects may include allergic reactions, neck and injection site pain, fatigue, and headache. Allergic reactions can include rash, welts, asthma symptoms, and dizziness. Don't receive Botox if there's a skin infection. Tell your doctor your medical history, muscle or nerve conditions, including ALS, Lou Gehrig's disease, myasthenia gravis, or Lambert-Eaton syndrome, and medications, including botulinum toxins, as these may increase the risk of serious side effects.
Why wait? Ask your doctor, visit BotoxChronicMigraine.com, or call 1-800-44-BOTOX to learn more.
For the News and Observer, I'm Dawn Vaughan, Capitol Bureau Chief and host of Under the Dome. You're listening to this episode for the week of August 14th, 2023. We are a month and a half into the new fiscal year and 2 weeks from the first day of school for traditional public schools. And the reason that matters, the fiscal year, is one of the reasons for my guest today. It's Suzanne Beasley, the Government Relations Director for the State Employees Association of North Carolina, aka the lobbyist. And the fiscal year, having already started a long time ago, is because that is when state employees would get their raises if a budget was passed on time. So everybody's waiting for that. And the legislature also sets the base pay for teachers. So that's the factor with traditional public schools starting soon. And people want to know where their money is. So a couple months ago, I had Artis Watkins on from SEANC when we were talking about raises. And I don't even remember if the budget was late yet at that point, maybe a little bit late.
Or either we were right at the line.
Right.
Yeah.
And now it's really late. So anyway, thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity.
And let's talk about that delay. What are you hearing now from state employees about the budget delay in raises, but more significantly, the vacancy rate being so high, and it's not going to get any better when people still aren't getting any raises?
Yeah. So what we are hearing from people is, they want a pay raise. They want to know how much of a pay raise is coming, but they are less concerned about the delay of the budget than there being a meaningful pay raise in the budget. I'm pretty sure Artis probably told you this when she was here, but SEANC's been lobbying for 5% in year one, 5% in year two, and a $5,000 one-time bonus that would retain these employees. Money is the bottom line. Money is the issue when we are trying to hire people as well as trying to keep people.
And I think that's come, it's nonpartisan, bipartisan, the agency leaders, it's Republicans have a supermajority. So whatever they're going to put in the budget is what it's going to be. It's just the arguing between the House and the Senate. And the Senate always wants to give lower raises, right, and the House wants to give bigger raises. And the House budget proposal has been closer to what Democratic Governor Cooper proposed, especially also for the non-certified school personnel. I know it's a different category than what you deal with state employees. But the latest that we heard from Speaker Moore is that he used the words, I said, can you tell us, they don't want to say what the amounts are until they're all set. It's already been decided between Berger and Moore, but they're working out all these other budget things and they don't want to announce it until, because that's the headline, right? It's what are you getting?
Exactly. And that kind of throws people because they see the pay raises have been decided, but then there's no further information. Right. So we get a lot of phone calls like, what's the pay raise? Well, we don't know that either. I think the good point that we should make about the budget being late is it's giving the legislature, even though they say they have made decisions, to reconsider some of that in light of, new revenue money.
And so Moore said about a week or 2 weeks, depending on when people are listening to this ago, that they are significant and meaningful, and that they, are going to reward employees. Now, the person who is pitching it obviously is going to describe it that way, but the people who get the raises may not, describe it that way.
Right.
So what do you think as far as, it doesn't seem like it's going to end up being what what people want or expect. I mean, has it ever been? Because you've been around for a while.
It's not a perfect world, so it's never exactly what everybody wants. Also, state employees know they didn't come to work for state government to make the kind of money that they can make in the private sector, but they knew they were going to have benefits. And, some of the erosion of the benefits, there's no longer health care when you retire if you're a new employee. The state health plan benefits have eroded over the years. So there's less enticing factors to get people to come to state government. Pay is the top priority.
What about, so the latest from the office, OSBM, which is the state budget directors under Cooper's administration, Office of State Budget and Management and Fiscal Research at the legislature will put out these joint revenue forecasts and changes for everything. The latest numbers are that the state's revenue for the fiscal year that ended June 30th, since we're talking about it already being mid-August here, revenues of $33.535 billion, which is 9.9% above the certified budget for the year. And part of the reason, economically, I don't think anyone argues that North Carolina is a place that business wants to come, that people want to move to, but there's that balance of what do they think of the, cultural and political climate, and then the tax rate, and depending on which political party you're talking to, they say it's one thing or the other, and, the answer is probably somewhere maybe in the middle of all of it. But what I thought was interesting, and I know that you all at SEANC noted too, is that the state agencies reverted more than $1 billion in unspent budgeted funds. And a lot of it is because of the historically high state employee vacancy rate and turnover. So it doesn't look like part of it seemed like it was COVID is when it went up, but then it's not shifting since then.
It's not. And how awesome to hear that we've got that money. It's a shame that it's from the vacancy crisis. The upside to this is there's $1.17 billion that came directly from the agencies. SEANC would like to see that invested back into the employees who are still here with the state. The last thing state of North Carolina can afford to do is lose employees right now. So we would like to see the General Assembly take a look at that money, put it back into the people's pockets who are working for the state so we can keep them. And then whatever that pay raise is, hopefully that will be enticing enough to draw more people to state government.
What do you think of the chances of the bonus that SEANC is pitching?
I think this money would be perfect for the bonus. It certainly would cover a $5,000 bonus for every employee. I did a little digging around just to try to get an estimate on the total number of state employees in North Carolina, and that would be agency employees, universities, community colleges, public school employees, teachers. There's 230,905, I think was the number we ended up at. So the $1.17 billion would absolutely make a $5,000 bonus for every single one of those employees. Seems easy to me.
So if anyone's not listening to the audio version, looking at our video version, if you don't know Suzanne Beasley, you recognize her from the building. So I think people understand some about what lobbying actually is. So tell us about what you actually do, how and when you talk to lawmakers, and just what your job is actually like.
Yeah, so we talk to lawmakers every opportunity we get. I spent some time at the building this past week. I often say stalking 101 is where you start with lobbying, because you have to know where to find the people that you can get information from. It's relationship building. That's the biggest part of it. I've been with SEANC almost 21 years, so I've met a lot of people, and that's how you get around. That's how you make those relationships, so you can go to them and talk to them about the things that are important to state employees, to our membership. And I have a team. There's a team of 3 of us on the ground all the time, and obviously Artis is part of our team when we need her at the building as well.
What's your favorite table, couch outside the chambers? Is there a place in the LB or the LOB that you like to set up?
There is. There are a couple of places actually, and it's funny because they're known as the SEANC table. But the table obviously right outside of Speaker Moore's office. It's a great place to catch people, on the fly when you need to speak to them. And the legislative library in the LOB It's just a great place to go gather your thoughts because obviously it's quiet, but there are no chairs in that building anymore in the hallways for anyone to sit on. So if you need to take a break, the library is the place to go. And now I know about the plant.
Yeah, so before we started recording, I was telling Suzanne about the Twitter account from the I can't remember what it is now, but it's the library plant. There's multiple plants now. And I like it because people that I know Twitter is whatever dumpster fire it currently is, but people that follow me notice I like taking pictures of the legislative building and sometimes nature at the same time. So this is perfect because it's a plant in the legislative office building. So this is just right up my alley. So shout out to the legislative library and the LOB and your plants. I appreciate it. And I'm trying to make Suzanne a fan too. So we're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll talk more about state employees, the legislative building. I'm definitely asking Suzanne about food and our picks for headliner of the week. We'll be right back.
Score more with the college-branded Venmo debit card and earn up to 5% cash back with Venmo Stash. Got paid back? With the Venmo debit card, you can instantly access your balance and spend on what you want, like game day snacks, gear, tickets, and more. The more you do, the more cash back you can earn. Plus, there's no monthly fee or minimum balance. Sign up now at Venmo.com/collegecard. The Venmo MasterCard is issued by the Bancorp Bank N.A. Select schools available. Venmo Stash terms and exclusions apply at venmo.me/stash terms. Max $100 cash back per month.
So good, so good, so good.
New spring arrivals are at Nordstrom Rack stores now. Get ready to save big with up to 60% off Rag & Bone, Marc Jacobs, Free People, and more.
How did I not know Rack has Adidas?
Because there's always something new.
Join the Nordy Club to unlock exclusive discounts, shop new arrivals first, and more. Plus, buy online and pick up at your favorite Rack store for free. Great brands, great prices. That's why you Rack.
You're listening to Under the Dome. I'm Dawn Vaughan, the Capitol Bureau Chief here at the News and Observer. And my guest today on the podcast is Suzanne Beasley, the lobbyist for SEANC, as we are going into a budget year that's going to be 2 months late. So you've been with SEANC for a while. How did you come to working with them? And then I also want to know about the fact that when this has happened before, the years of delay and everything.
Sure. So I've been with SEANC almost 21 years. I worked for an investment company, and in 2002, they went under. So we all lost our jobs, and that left me looking for a new job. Artis Watkins, our executive director, was our legislative affairs director at that time. And I had started in a different department with SEANC, and she pulled me over into her department and gave me an opportunity at the legislature, and here I am today.
So what have you, I guess this is a very open-ended question, but like what have you learned in over 20 years of spending time at the legislature? Tell me before we started recording that someone called you the red-haired girl from
Yes,
SEANC.
yeah. So I had lots of names other than Suzanne. And the little redheaded girl from SEANC stuck with me for a long time, back in the day when my hair was still red. But yeah, I've seen a lot of things over the years at the legislature. I think probably one of the things that sticks out most for me is I used to say to Artis often when she and I were the only two on the ground, this is just not logical. And she would say, look where you're at. So yeah.
Yeah, logical. That makes kind of like what we were talking about with chairs earlier and how there's, a lack of chairs in the building, which I'm pretty sure everyone has an opinion on. What else about the building have you noticed? So you've been there when Democrats were in power too, right?
Yeah.
So what's the vibe like now compared to, I don't know, a decade, 15 years ago?
Well, different vibe because different parties were in supermajority. So I've lived through both of that. And the vibe is different just because the Republicans are in charge right now. We have great relationships on both sides of the aisle. So, I'm able to go talk to anyone about an issue on either side of the aisle and not feel awkward.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, who's the nicest lawmaker and who's the meanest? But you may not want to say that. Or can you say historically? Who's great to work with? Who's not?
Let me tell you this story. So when I first started lobbying, didn't know my way around the building, I met Wilma Sherrill, Representative Wilma Sherrill. She was a big budget writer. And we butted heads in the middle of the night at one of those, marathon sessions. And from that day on, she just kind of took me under her wing, and she told me where to go, who to talk to, just mentored me a little bit. So I began thinking that Representative Cheryl was probably the meanest legislator, and she ended up being one of my very favorites.
Okay, there you go. So do you know, like, I've been in the building for about 5 years or so, a little bit less. And my favorite thing now is to give tours to like interns or somebody new. And I'm like, let me show you around. And I did that more when I was press corps president too, but I just like it. And maybe when I retire one day, I'll be the volunteer legislative building tourist. But I still get confused sometimes going around. I mean, it's easy if you're like, okay, it's not over in this courtyard, I'll just circle around again. So do you have the whole building down? Like, or is there anything that you sometimes get turned around with the weird stairs or that one women's bathroom that's like just a
tucked
tiny,
on the side?
What is that?
Yeah, the bathrooms are always I don't know what happened here. Yeah. For the most part, I think I do have the building down pat, but it's easy to get turned around. The funny thing with me is the numbers of the quads in the legislative building. But I can tell you by person. I know Speaker Moore's quad. Yeah. I know Representative Setzer's quad. You just have a place. People make the location easy to identify rather than the numbers on the rooms and the quads.
I realize if somebody said numbers, I'd be like, I don't know. There's an 1100 area, and it's helpful that Jason Sane has the big Lincoln County sign like in his window. I'm like, thanks, got that. And the corner offices, literally being the corner offices, that's helps. Convenient, But just the wood paneling of everything. It's just, we had an intern a couple of years ago that said, she described it like maybe like an MC Escher painting of like how confusing it is and everything looks the same.
And you wouldn't think it would be. It's just squares
put together. It's just something, it's not logical maybe, or it is
there
logical.
You go.
All right, let me ask you about legislative cafeteria food. Anyone who spends time in the building, I always want to know. And this is inclusive of the cafeteria, the snack bar, or the LOB snack bar cafeteria hybrid or whatever. So what's your pick? What do you always get?
Okay, first of all, shout out to the legislative cafeteria staff, because they are awesome folks. If you need a smile, just go downstairs and get something to eat. But that fried chicken on Tuesdays is where it's at. However, if you need a cheeseburger, the snack bar is a great place to go for that too.
I like the fried chicken too. It kind of makes you want to take a nap.
It does. It does. It's one of those things I don't get often though.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, I'm not cooking for a family anymore, so it doesn't happen often. So
I feel like a fair amount of people have mentioned the fried chicken over the years. So yeah, that's one of my go-tos also. Yeah. All right. Well, it's time for headliner of the week. Suzanne, if you want to go first, who or what is your headliner of the week?
Just watching the news last night, the wildfires in Hawaii right now, they're so devastating and heartbreaking and tragic. That's just stuck with me all day today, just from what I was seeing last night. So yeah, just sending good vibes to Hawaii.
I saw something where like everyone that's ever been to Hawaii like is thinking about, because people try to make a connection to something of the, I went to Hawaii once for my honeymoon a long time ago. Beautiful place. It's really rough.
But it's such a special place, just even if you haven't been, that.
Yeah.
It's just terrible to see.
Well, we're hoping for the best with everyone there. So my headliner also is not as sad as the current but also a pretty place. I went to Carolina Beach last week, so also a shout out to my colleague Kyle Ingram for guest hosting last week. I appreciate him taking one for the team, and I think he did a good job for his first time hosting. But anyway, I hadn't been to Carolina Beach before. I've lived in North Carolina for, I don't know, in a few years, I'll probably hit 20 years living here. And I'm an Outer Banks person because I lived in Northern Virginia for a long time, and the Outer Banks that's where everyone in Northern Virginia goes. And when apparently my mom told me that when I was a kid living at Fort Bragg, or now Fort Liberty, we went to Wrightsville Beach once, but I have no memory. So I'm like, I've lived here in North Carolina a long time. I should probably go check out more of the state. So I went to Carolina Beach for a couple of days, and we drove into Curay Beach, if I'm saying that right.
You are.
And Wrightsville Beach just to check it out. And so I started off saying Carolina Beach was my headliner, but I think I need to change it to the Fort Fisher Aquarium, which was the highlight of that trip. And it was just so cool. All the otters, everything else there. So I'll give my shout out headliner is that whole area with the aquarium.
Right. The aquarium
primarily.
is beautiful. And those are state employees.
Yeah. So, all right. So shout out to the state employees at Fort Fisher Aquarium. But anyway, if no one's checked it out, it's pretty cool. Maybe you all have, and people are saying it's about time that I finally went. So I haven't been to Pine Hill Shores yet, so I need to check that out. And I always go to the Roanoke Island one all the time when I'm in Nags Head. So now I've expanded my horizons.
Good for you.
All right. Well, Suzanne, thanks so much for being on.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it. And we'll see if it's going to be a budget September, maybe.
That's what it sounds like. So
I mean, at some point, if it gets to October, that's redistricting. So I think they'll pass it.
Well, we've had long sessions for the last few years, so
And you've been through this before.
I have.
Yeah. Okay. And we'll be through it again. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you again for being on. I'm Dawn Vaughan for the News and Observer. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you next time.
For more from our politics team, subscribe to the News and Observer at newsobserver.com/subscribe. Follow us on Twitter at Under the Dome and NC Insider, and sign up for our weekly political newsletter, also called Under the Dome, at newsobserver.com/newsletters. Thanks for listening.